Chris Godinez, licensed professional therapist, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I do these answer videos on Wednesday. I post them both up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are an online therapy company. They are international, all over the world. So all you got to do is go on, fill out some questions. They'll place you with a licensed professional therapist in your state, master's level or PhD level. You can chat with them. You can do chat therapy, or you can do, video therapy. I think that's awesome. So thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, let's hit the questions, shall we? After my family leaving the abuser, my dad, my mom has decided to go back after a year with my sisters. How can I maintain a relationship with them outside the abuse? Well, here's the problem. The abuser will make it next to impossible. Guarantee it. Because the abuser, if you've decided to go no contact, if you're like, hell no, I am not going back, I am staying the hell away, then the abuser is going to make you the identified scapegoat. And you're the problem. And so they will interfere anytime you try to have anything to do with your sisters or your mom. So the only thing you can do is warn them ahead of time that that's exactly what's going to happen. And then when it does happen, hopefully that kind of triggers something in their head. Anytime you want to have time with them, the abuser is going to want to know. And they'll interfere. So it's going to be a challenge. I mean, it's not going to be impossible, but it is going to be a challenge. And they are going to smear you to your mom, to the other siblings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you tell them that ahead of time, though, if you say, hey, this is exactly what's going to happen. Here's this book, the object of my affection is in my reflection, coping with a narcissist. Make sure dad doesn't see it. And hopefully they'll read it. Maybe they'll recognize the behavior and maybe they'll leave. Again, it takes 7 times leaving before it sticks. So that's kind of the good news, bad news. So let him know ahead of time, dad's going to interfere. He's not going to want you to talk to me. He's not going to want us to hang out. Here's a book you should read, because abusers don't change. They don't. They just don't. So my concern is that what ends up happening is the abuse gets worse. So the love bombing gets shorter and shorter. The abuse gets worse and longer and nastier. And if one of the kids is able to get out and there's other kids still stuck there, they damn the kid that got out, and they will tell everybody the kid's the problem and this, that, and the other thing. So if you tell them this stuff ahead of time, it might hopefully trigger something in their heads. And you try to meet them outside of where the abuser knows. So I can guarantee you this abuser will continue to interfere. So and like I said, if you let them know ahead of time, hey, dad's going to interfere. Dad's going to keep us from seeing each other. Dad's going to not want me to talk to you guys because I'm not towing the line. And don't be surprised if the mom suddenly starts going, oh, you need to forgive him, and oh, you need to come back, and oh, No. So, yeah. So just be aware. They may side with the abuser, or they may get back into it and go, oh, hell no. So, yeah. But the dad's going to make it as difficult as possible. But see if there's ways that you can meet with them, maybe without him knowing. And again, like if the mom is totally enabling and back into the fold, that's going to make it very difficult. So, and you may just have to go no contact for a while. So think about getting a therapist to help you with this. That would be my guess, my best guess at what's going to help. I think telling them ahead of time, it's like, okay, you're going back. Dad hasn't changed. He says he has, but he hasn't. And he's going to try to keep us from seeing each other. So I just wanted to plant that in your head so that when it happens, I can say I told you so, basically. So, yeah. Ugh, I'm sorry. What can we do to help a child we see being mentally abused by a narcissistic parent? Ugh, that's a tough one. Self-esteem. Keep telling the kid it's not them, it's the parent, just differentiating. especially if it's not your child, if it's not somebody you have custody of, that's going to be very difficult. The thing that makes me so angry is that the DCS, Department of Children's Services, or CPS, Child Protective Services, a pig with lipstick by any other name is still a pig with lipstick. They don't do anything unless and until there is physical violence. They don't do anything unless you can see bruises, basically. That's the only time they ever do anything. If they're being mentally abused by the parent, try to get as many eyes on it as possible. You could do an FYI filing with DCS or DCS or CPS. But they're not going to do anything unless there's physical abuse. But if you do like a, hey, FYI, this is what we see here going on, and then somebody else makes a report, then it's possible something might be done. Especially if there's anything physical going on. Self-esteem would be the biggest thing, letting that child know you love them and they're not to blame. So that's all you can do, especially if you're non-custodial. Okay. Chris, I have an elderly relative that keeps calling me. I have a lot of guilt for going no contact with her. It is always used against me because she might die. I need my space from her. What can I do? Well, if this elderly relative is abusive, you've absolutely done the right thing by going no contact. I mean, that's what we do, is if somebody is abusive, we go no contact. Doesn't matter how old they are, doesn't matter what relationship they are to us, etc., etc. I have a lot of guilt for going no contact with her. It is always used against me because she might die. I need my space from her. What can I do? Well, you're going to have to stick to your guns. You're going to have to absolutely start saying yes to you and no to everybody else. And when somebody insists that you stay in touch with somebody just because they're older, if they were abusive, then that person you're talking to is a flying monkey, which means they're either ignorant as to what abuse is, unlikely, or they are a minor narcissist themselves. That's my guess. So you're going to have to stick to your guns. You're going to have to, stick to your boundaries. It's like, no, and I mean it. No, I'm not having contact with this elderly abuser. No, thank you. I'm not going to do. She might die anyway. Oh, well. Because what they want you to do is they want you to feel guilty enough to get back in contact with this person. Don't. If they were abusive to you and you're happier not contacting them, then you keep that no contact. Absolutely. Do not even second guess it. Absolutely. So, and then recognize the people that are wanting you to get back in touch with this elderly abusive person are flying monkeys, which means they're probably minor narcissists themselves. So be on your guard. These people do not have your best interest at heart, if that is the case. Okay, let's get to the next question. I need help from cult deconstruction without somebody telling me I need religion. I cannot find a counselor in my state. Where do I find an atheist counselor? Okay, so here's the deal. No matter where you go through, whether it is BetterHelp.com or whether it is Psychology Today, always specify what you are looking for. Make sure you specify what you're looking for. So, if for me, it's like I like Buddhist therapists, obviously, because same page kind of thing. So, but if you're looking for cult deconstruction, you want a trauma therapist, and you got to specify, I don't want a religious therapist. I don't want a religious counselor. I'm not looking for religious counseling. I am looking for trauma counseling. So look at those two organizations and be very specific in what you're looking for. And if you don't like the therapist you get, then you just fire them and get another one. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes a long time to find a good therapist because unfortunately there are a lot of narcissists in my field, and I'm going to be talking about that on Sunday. I'm going to be talking about medical trauma. I'm going to include therapy, things like that. But yeah, so you be very specific. It's like, I am specifically looking for a non-denominational or an atheist or a Wiccan or a Buddhist or, whatever you're looking for. And you should be able to find both of those or any of those in both of those suggestions that I gave you, the betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez or on Psychology Today. So because the people have to put what their frame of reference is, just to help people know whether this is a good fit or not. So that would be my suggestion. And then, you want to, like I said, don't be afraid to be very specific. I am looking for an atheist therapist, or I am looking for, but you also want trauma therapy. So remember, deconstruction from a cult, that's trauma. So you want a trauma therapist. You don't want a religious therapist. You want a trauma therapist, somebody who is well versed in trauma, so that can help you with that whole cult experience. So there is that. I think that answered the question. Don't be afraid to interview them. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Very specific in what you want or what you need. There is no reason for you to not get the therapist you want or need. So, and you want to ask a lot of questions. It's like, okay, what is your theoretical approach? What's your modality? Are you religious in any way? Because I'm not looking for somebody religious. I'm looking for somebody either non-denominational or atheist or Buddhist or, whatever. So make sure that you make your wants and needs known. Absolutely. And if the person isn't a right fit, fire them and look for another therapist. That would be my best suggestion. So, okay. I think that covers it. I hope I answered all of those questions. So just to recap, the dad, in the first question, the dad is going to absolutely try to stop you from having the relationship. You need to let them know ahead of time. And then hopefully they'll figure it out. It does take 7 times on average leaving before it sticks. If there is any physical abuse going on, you call CPS. If your sisters are being abused, you call CPS. Absolutely. What can we do to help a child being mentally abused by a narc parent? The more eyes on it, the better. And self-esteem, working on their self-esteem, helping them with that. If you're being no contact with a family member, doesn't matter how old they are, you stay no contact. There's no reason to go back into contact, even if they're old. So what? They're going to die. So what? And then for this last question, needing help from finding a counselor. You're looking for a trauma therapist, and you might want to look into EMDR. That might be helpful, and you might find therapists there with that modality. Also, DBT would be good. CBT would be good. But definitely trauma therapist, somebody who's trauma informed, and you want to make sure, I don't need preaching, I need therapy. So yeah, there that is. All right, my loves, have a wonderful week. I will talk to you on Sunday, and we will be talking about medical trauma. So, trauma that happens when we have to go to the hospital and things like that. Also dealing with abusers who are in the medical field and what you can do to protect yourself, that kind of thing. All right, guys, have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.